Hello FTCU digitizers, welcome to your exclusive BBS FTCU training course. Today's lesson is an add-on to lesson 2 and we're going to go over the toolbars one more time and I'm going to give you a brief description of each icon. And with some I'm going to give you a little demo on how to use it. So let's get started. So I'm going to open up my software. And create a new design. Okay, so the first toolbar that we're going to go over are our file tools. So this is our file toolbar. I'm just going to bring it down here. So the first icon is the little page. So if I click it, I can create a new design. And you can see up here on this little panel, I've opened up a new tab. So I can toggle between the two designs and work on as many designs as I'd like at one time. And the shortcut for that is Control N. I can also open up existing designs that are on my computer. So the folder here with the arrow coming out, Control O for the shortcut. If I click it, I can go into my computer and find different designs to open up. And I can see a little preview over here of what designs there or what design I'm going to open. This here saves the active document. So whatever you're working on, whatever in your design canvas, it will save, and then whatever file format you began saving it in as, which I recommend the WAF. This here is called your batch converter, and say you trade out of one of your machines into another type of machine. So say you had a Viking, which is .hus, and you trade up into a baby lock. What you need to do then is take all of your designs and change their file format so you can use all of your old designs on your new machine. But sometimes that can be hard because you have to go in individually and change each design. So with the batch converter, you can take a whole folder full of designs, as many as you want at one time, and convert them all into the new file format at one time. And we'll actually go through that and how to do that in a later lesson. So this is that print preview that we went over in the other part of our lesson 2. Okay. So if I bring a design up onto my page, so I'm going to go over to my library and get one of my free monthly designs. And put it on my canvas. So now, once I select it, some of my grayed out options will become available. So now what I could do is I can cut this, I can copy it, and I can paste it. So these options are very similar to the options that you have on Word. So for cut, it's Control X. For copy, it's Control C. And for paste, it's Control V. So if I cut it, it's going to paste it onto my clipboard, and that's where it will stay until I cut or copy something else. So now I can hit my little clipboard to paste, or I can hit Control V to paste, and it will bring it onto the new space that I want. So say if I wanted to only take this heart here, I could cut it, I could open a new design, and I could paste it on my new canvas and just take one element from one design and bring it over to another design. And I could paste it, I could paste it as many times as I wanted. Okay, so I'm going to actually undo that twice. So the second thing we can do is we can copy. So say I want the wings on here twice. So we're going to take these and we can use our copy tool, which is either Control C or click these two little pages here, and then we can hit our clipboard. And so now I have two sets of wings on my canvas. Okay, so that's your cut, copy, and paste. These are our unlimited undo and redo. For undo, it's Control Z, and for redo, it's Control Y. So I can undo and bring my canvas back to where I started. And then if I go back too many, I can redo and get my design back to where I want it. This here is our properties box icon, which links to this here. So what it's going to do is whenever I click it and it's highlighted orange, the properties box will then appear on my design screen. If I click off, it's going to take my properties box away. And it's nice because sometimes you would like to see more of your sequence view if you have a bigger design. So when you bring your properties box back, see how your sequence view is kind of compressed. So you take it away, you can see your sequence view a little bit better. And then you can start going through your sequence view and changing things if you need to. So it's nice to have your properties box there because you'd like to see what's going on with your stitch design. But sometimes it's nice to be able to take it away so you can see your sequence view. Or if you take your sequence view away as well, you have a larger canvas to work with. And I can tell if it's there, or I can tell what's going on by what's selected, what's highlighted orange. So I can turn some of these things off or turn them on, get a 3D view of what's going on with my design, and bring back my properties box. This is our preferences that we went over in the part 1 of our lesson 2, and so I'm going to leave this alone, but as time goes on you'll kind of get a better idea of what your preferences are and how you like to set up your workspace. This is the size of our design, so we can change how we're zoomed in to our design. So I can fit to the selection, which is what I have selected right now, which is just the little wings. I can do a 1-to-1 ratio. I can zoom out to 10%, zoom in to 600%. So I can change how I zoom, and then I can do zoom to fit. This is a link to your My Floriani Club. So it's just a quick icon that's going to link to a web browser and bring up your My Floriani Club so you can sign in and get access to your training videos. So it's a really easy, quick way to get to your training videos. The other way to get there is by going to Help and going to Floriani Club. So you've got your onboard manual, your Floriani Club. This is to bring up that My Floriani Today page. You can open up a support ticket. You can look at your license. You can check for updates to see if you have the latest version. And if you hit About, you can find out what your version of software you're using is. And then when you check for updates, see if you do need to actually update. So that's your file toolbar. And I can move this around and change how I put it on my screen. So we're going to zoom to fit. This is my design toolbar. A lot of people call this your creator toolbar because this is where you go in to create artwork or stitches or shapes, symbols, things like that. So the first tool on here is our slow redraw bar. So this just indicates whether our slow redraw bar is going to be hidden or shown. So if I click it, it makes my slow redraw bar go away. If I click it again, it brings it back up onto my canvas. So I can then use my slow redraw bar to see how my design is going to stitch out and see the sequence of stitching as well. We went over that in lesson 2, part 1 as well. Okay, so this is our save to sew, and this creates recipes for when we save. So you can save as and save it as a PES and sew it out on your machine, but you can also do save to sew. And that opens up a dialogue that takes you through a series of prompts that you can answer. Say, I'm doing these little angel wings, and say I want to do it on leather. I can go down here and look for leather and say leather I didn't digitize because I didn't digitize this design. And then you can go through and change different stuff in here, and it's going to give you a recipe for what types of stabilizers you should use. It's also going to change the push-pull compensation to work with the fabric that you've chosen. So it kind of just gives you presets to save your design so you don't have to worry about changing those things yourself manually. So it's kind of like a recipe creator for your design. And we'll go into that a little bit more in detail in later lessons. Okay, so this is our artwork tool. So this is going to help us create artwork on our canvas. And you'll see any icon that has a little arrow next to it has sub-icons inside. So when I click the arrow on the side, you see that I have more options to use. So this is our artwork tool. And it's just going to put artwork points onto our canvas. So there are 3 different types of tools that we can use in here. So we have our line tool, which allows us to toggle between entering straight and curved points. So I'm going to delete this, grab my line tool, and so then I can create straight artwork points on my canvas, and by holding down Control, I can turn them into curve points. And then all I have to do is right-click, and then it will create the artwork on my canvas. If I want to close the shape, all I have to do is come down here to this close shape icon, and it will close my shape for me. The next one is the pen tool, and this allows us to plot anchor points by clicking and dragging. So it's a lot like a pen or a pencil. So then I can just freehand draw onto my canvas. And this is where it's good to get a tablet and a pen. Then right-click, and it will turn into artwork. And then I can easily apply stitches, and now I have a stitch design. So now I can watch it stitch out. And that's how easy it is to just create a stitch file really fast. And I'd go in and fix any of these weird points that I don't like and reform my shape. So now I'm going to select it, right-click, and delete. Okay, so the last one is called your Bezier. And this allows you to plot points, and then as you plot, you can pull and drag to create a curve. So it brings up these little whiskers that we're able to pull and create curves and create whatever shape we want. And we'll go in depth on how to form our plot points and how to plot out where we want things to go. Okay, so these next icons are applying stitches. So this is an artwork tool where there are no stitches set. So we would later go in and apply our stitches. With these next ones, they already have a set stitch type designated to it. So the first one is our manual stitch. So this inputs a path composed of individual stitches. So as I plot my points, you can see that it changes my stitch length. So I'm actually plotting my stitch length. Okay, so the next one is a run stitch. So this just creates a run stitch by plotting points. The next one is creating a satin stitch. We have classic satin stitch, steel stitch, fill stitch. The next one is an applique stitch. And then after that, you have your shapes tool. So if I click on this, it gives me options to choose what kind of shape I want to work with. So I could work with a rectangle. I can create circles, triangles, pentagons, and hexagons. And so then what I can do is I can go in and apply stitches to these, or I can use them as parameters to work inside. Say if I have a 4x4 hoop and I want to just have like an artwork shape to work inside, I can do that, or I can work inside my hoops, and we'll go over that a little bit more. But those are our shapes tools, so we can use those instead of having to create our own shapes. These are there for us to use as templates. Also inside here is custom shapes, and Floriani has provided a ton of fun shapes for you to use that are already vector images that you can just apply stitches to. So we have tons of different shapes in here that we can use, apply stitches to, or add to our designs, and do lots of fun stuff with them. So I could select one. Let's grab this cat. And so now what I could do is turn him into an applique. So you'll see there's my placement line, there's my tack down stitch, and there's my satin stitch. So that's how easy it is to create a design. Okay, after that we have our buttonholes. So this can create different types of buttonholes for us. Our symbols tool, which is a file of different symbols that we can use to put down on our canvas that are already digitized, so they are already stitch files. These two are One Click Wonder Magic Wand and Red Work Tool Wand, and we'll go over those a little bit more in detail. Fit to Hoop. So if you have a design and you want it to fit perfectly in the hoop that you have selected, you can select this and it will fit into the area of your hoop. This is Distortion, where we can apply distortions and different effects, interesting effects to our selected design. And this is our Name Drop tool, which opens the Name Drop wizard and creates multiple similar designs based on a template. So we can create a template, say like a tennis ball, and then drop names into it instead of having to create. So if we have like a team of soccer players, we can create 20 different files at one time instead of having to go and create 20 files from scratch each time. So it's a really fast and easy tool if you're a digitizer that makes stuff for like sports teams. And like I said, with all of these icons, in later lessons we will go into in-depth into how they actually work. I just kind of want to give you an idea of what each icon does. Okay, so the next toolbar is our modify tools. And so these tools we use after we've created artwork or stitch segments, and then we use these tools to modify and change our artwork or stitch files. So the first 5 are our text tools. So I can create text, I can create it in a straight line, I can create it around a circle, I can create vertical text, and I can create text on a path. The next icon is our monogram font, so we can create really beautiful monograms, and Floriani has provided some really beautiful fonts in there just for monogramming. This is our font importer, where we can bring in our own fonts. This is a TTF artwork, so say if you go online and get fonts, you can bring them in as TrueType font. So TrueType font is vector artwork, so we can go in and grab, let's go in and I'll write my name. Oops. And I can select a font, and these are all the fonts that I have available on my computer right now, and I can download as many fonts as I want. So I'm going to grab this Wingdings, and I'm going to hit OK, and then I'm going to hit OK. So now you can see that it has brought in artwork for me to play with. So I can go in and open it up, and I can grab each piece individually. So I could go in and I could apply a fill stitch to this. I could go in and maybe apply a running stitch to this, and then maybe a motif fill. And then maybe a fancy fill. So now you can see, let's turn on black, that I have created stitch files. And I can do that with TrueType font. So I could actually even bring in fonts. I can bring in symbols that come with my fonts. So there's lots of fun things that you can do with fonts. And like I said, we'll go over that more in detail. And then this is our font play. And this is where we can go around and change our fonts, change what we're going to do with them. Okay, so this is our custom shapes library, where we have all of those fun shapes to work with. Easy art that's filled in shapes that has multiple colors in it, just fun things that we can play with. So I could go in, grab this mixer, and grab the different sections of it and start applying stitching. And I can create a design from the different shapes and artwork that they have provided in the software. So I could easily go in and grab one of their shapes, and then I could apply text, and I could make a design in under 10 minutes for somebody, just really fast. So I could put this on an apron. I could put my little sister's name on it because she loves to bake. And I could go in and I could take this color here and make it the exact color of her mixer. I could put the little googly eyes on it that she has on her mixer and just really customize it and make it something that she would really love. Put it on a little apron for her, and that would be a really fun little project to make. Okay, so that's our easy artwork. This is our backdrops library, so where we can bring in, so the difference between artwork and a backdrop is that artwork, they're selectable designs where I can go in and apply stitches automatically. But if I bring in artwork, what it is it's just a backdrop for me to design over. So you can see that when I click on it, there's nothing in my sequence view because there's no artwork or stitches. So what I would do is I would design on top of this and create stitches with my pen tool and my artwork tool. So I can't actually do anything with this until I apply something onto my canvas because there's nothing there. This is just for me to use as a template to design on top of. Okay, this is our artwork library, so it's really similar to our custom shapes where we can go in and import artwork. And artwork is the basis for all embroidery designs. So in order to start with an embroidery design, we need artwork. And that's whether we bring it in from the internet or we create it in an Adobe Illustrator or wherever you make your vector files, or if you create it just directly on your canvas with your pen tool. So I can create artwork this way. I can import artwork from an Adobe Illustrator file, and you can see it's broken down into all the different sections for this design. Or I can just grab it from the software itself. So this is all the artwork that comes included in your software, and then this is the artwork library where we can import artwork that's already on our computer, and Floriani provides all these ones as well. So you get a lot of artwork from Adobe. So there's lots of fun things we can play with, apply stitches to, and just create a lot of fun, different, cool stuff. Okay. These are our wizards where we can go through and just automatically digitize and turn something into either a cross stitch. We can go through the stitch wizard, the auto artwork wizard, which will turn a bitmap image into artwork, and the auto digitizing wizard, which will turn your image into a design or a stitch file. And then that's something we will also go through step by step in a later lesson, but these are where all your wizards are located. Okay, so this next tool is your split wizard. So if you have a design that's way too big for your hoop, you can take it and run it through this, and it will split your design into as many pieces as you need to fit in your hoop size. Okay, so then these next designs I'm just going to go through really quickly. So we're going to go in and get one of our symbols. So this is our symbols tool. Like I was telling you, it is composed of a folder that already has stitching files on it, and we'll go over that a little bit more in detail later. But I'm just going to put one on my screen. And the way that this works is you can put as many as you want on your screen, as big as you want, as small as you want, and you can change the direction in which they are placed. So I'm just going to place one. And then the important thing that I want to do is either go over and click my select design, or I need to right click, because if I don't, what's going to happen is my cursor is going to stay the same, and I'm going to keep placing them on my design page until I tell it to stop. So I either need to hit the arrow up here, the select tool, or right click. So I'm actually going to undo those last three and then select the one that I have on my canvas. So first I can do a fling repeat and fling them onto my page. I can repeat them. I can just repeat the design, and I can do as many rows as I want. Numbers across, numbers down. I can change my spacing. And then I can offset them, or I can change which direction they go, and I can create really fun effects. And if I hit apply, I'm actually going to take some of these rows away because we don't want to wait too long for this to generate. Hit apply and hit OK. And so now this is the design that I have on my canvas. And so this is what would stitch out if I saved it as a stitch file. So let's undo that. The next one is our corners repeat, which we'll put these in corners. I can change my distance again. And I can change my angle and make really interesting designs. And then put these on the corner of a block or a design and just make really fun designs this way. So they're just your fun templates that you can work with. So I could put these into the corner of a block, hit OK, and that would be my new design. Okay, so this is color play, where we can change the colors in a design instead of having to change our colors one by one. We can tell this that we want it to change our colors automatically. And so what that's really good for is if, say, we have a design that we bring on from our computer. So let's go into our library and get a little bit more complicated of a design. And these are cute. Okay, so bring this one in. And so say I don't like any of these colors, and I really don't want to have to plan out new colors. I just kind of want something a little different. I can go to my color play. I can lighten. I can darken. And then I can randomize and just wait till I get something a little bit different, something that I want. I can change it to a theme, so we could say that we want maybe a red and green theme, so we could go and find our red and our green. Okay, here's a winter theme, so we could hit OK for winter, or just keep going through random until we find something that we like. Hit OK, and then we get those new colors. And then we have our wordplay. So I'm going to delete this. And wordplay is really fun. You can grab a shape. So let's grab this heart. And then we can put words in. So we can put things like love. Oops, happy. You can put whatever words in that you want. This would be fun for little kids to just have them give you 4 words, and then you could generate something new and sew it on a shirt for them. Yeah, so then what we can do is keep generating until we find something that we like. Then hit OK, and it generates that design on our screen, and we can take that heart and put like a motif stitch around it. Hit apply, and just make a really fun, cute design. That's simple. Okay. So these are just our different sequences. We can change, we can make it color sort. So what it's going to do is it's going to change my design and color sort if there are any colors that are, like, so say this orange and this orange were being stitched at different times. If I hit the color sort, it would combine them together. Or if I select this whole design, I can resequence it, so it's going to sequence it in the way that makes the most sense to stitch out. It's probably already sequenced the best way, so it's not going to change anything right now. I can add a basting box around it, and so with these we can create a template. So I can create a template on a path. And put my designs on a template, on a path. I can create my own path, so if none of these paths work for what I want, I can create a new path. So say if I was creating like a shirt neckline, like a scoop neck, I could put these all under the neckline. I could change my height, width, and I could offset and change my scale, make them a little bit bigger, offset them, and create fun designs on a path. I can create circle templates, and so there are lots of fun templates that I can make. Okay, so I can flip my design. With this design, you really can't tell when it's flipping because it's symmetrical, so we can do a left and right flip, or we can do a vertical flip. I can rotate by 90 degrees, one way, to the left and to the right. I can hit this button and it's going to put my design that I have selected directly into the center of my canvas. So you'll see right here that the center is at this point here, the 0 line here, and then this one here. Oops. So if I have this selected and I hit this button, it's going to center my design into the center of my canvas. So these we'll go over a little bit later on. So these are alignment tools, so we can align our designs with each other. And then these are our trim tools. So this is trim, this is weld, we can intersect, we can group designs together, we can ungroup, we can combine designs, and we can break designs apart. So that's like with artwork that's overlapping. We can kind of combine them together or break them apart, group them, ungroup them, and do lots of fun things with that. So next up we have our edit tools. So these are here. And so we have our selection tool, which allows us to grab designs, select them, and move them around on our canvas. Our lasso tool, which will allow us to just select sections of our design by drawing a selection circle around it. Right click and then it will select whatever you had in your circle. This is our shapes tool, and it uses to select anchor points and modify outlines. So this is our reform tool, where I can take and reform stitch points. And I wouldn't want to do that on this one, so I'd undo those. But I can change how my design looks. This is our magnifying tool, so I can zoom in or I can pan and just drag my canvas around. So it's not moving my design, it's just moving where I'm at on my canvas, so I can change how I'm viewing it. Our zoom tool, and I can zoom in pretty close. Or if I want, I can just take the magnifying glass and draw a little box around the area that I want to see really close up. So I can just do a bounding box around the entire design, or a bounding box around just the area that I want to see really close up. This is my ruler that will give me the size or the distance between point to point. So if I click here and drag across, it's going to measure that for me. So it's 0.15 inches, and it's giving me a tip to use a satin stitch. But if I had something a little bit bigger, it would give me the tip to use a fill stitch. Okay. Put that back. These are our view tools, and so this is how we view designs on our canvas. So I can turn 3D on or off. I can use this to import vector art, so that's the same thing as this up here. I can bring in a backdrop. So we're just going to put this in as a backdrop. And so this would be something that we would digitize over on top of. This here is going to bring my grids onto my screen, so I can either see my grid marks or I can turn them off. I can show the hoop size that I'm working in. If I know what kind of hoop that I want to be stitching in, I can work in those parameters. Or I can change my hoop size with the next icon over. With this, I can see the stitching or see the artwork. So if it's turned on, that means I'm seeing the stitching. If it's turned off, I'm just looking at the artwork. I'm going to get in really close to show this next one. This shows all of the stitch points with a little gray dot, so it's showing all of my needle penetrations. So this is that close shape tool, so if I go in and grab my artwork tool, I can create some artwork, right click, have it selected, and then hit that close shape, and it's going to make that a closed shape for me. This tool here allows me to see or make my backdrop disappear or reappear. So if I'm working over a backdrop and I want to make it go away so I can see the design that I've been creating, I can turn this on or off. So this is the ghost tool, and it displays any hidden segments or stitches in light gray color in the workspace. And then this is our backdrop color. So we can turn it from either a color or to a fabric. So if I select this, I can change my backdrop into a fabric. So if I know what fabric I'm going to be working on, I can put that in my canvas. So I can also scan in my own fabrics and put those into my canvas. I can also go to a color and select what color I want to be using in my backdrop and work on a different color. So I can change it to whatever color I want. So those are those icons in there. So let's change back to a white background. Hit OK. This is my color palette. You can see up here, this is all of the colors that I have in my design. So I only have one. If we go over to this one, you can see that I have 17 different colors in here. Okay, so I can see them all listed out for me here. I can go in and select each piece. So say if I don't like this purple here, I can select it and I can change the color. And that will change it on my design colors. So I can also create my own color palettes, or I can search colors. So this palette that I have open right now is our Floriani Poly. Floriani Poly has 365 colors, plus they have their mixes and their variegateds, as well as their metallics. So I can go through and grab all the different types of thread that they have available. Excuse me. I can search for a specific color. So say if I want to grab a pink, I can hit that and it will toggle me over to the pinks. I can zoom over entire pages. I think there's 40 colors per row. So I can zoom as far as I want and just get to a color section that I want. Say I want to get to greens. So I just keep pulling over until I get to the green section. Or I can go one color at a time and scoot over one color at a time. So say if you have the exact color number, so I think Floriani has lots of different codes on top of their spool, so if you know the exact number, you can find that in your Floriani thread chart and just type it in here and find it. And there are lots of easy ways that we can look for colors in here. The next toolbar we're going to go over is our Stitch Effects tools. So this is how we apply stitching to the artwork that we bring onto our page. So let's bring up a new canvas by going to New. And we're going to bring in some custom shapes. So let's go to our custom shapes. This is our easy art. We want to do custom shapes. And let's grab this pretty bird. Okay. So down here, now what I can do is take all of these different things here and apply stitches. So I can apply a run stitch. Let's turn our 3D mode on. So now he is a run stitch. I can apply a motif stitch, change how my motif stitch looks, change what kind of motif, and apply until I find something that looks good. I can apply a steel stitch, so that's just kind of your nice satin with a set width. I can apply satin stitch, I can apply jagged satin, this is a color blend satin, a spiral satin, a gradient satin. So this is a fancy satin, which will apply a satin stitch with a little bit of a pattern to it, contour satin, radial satin, auto satin. So those are all of our nice little satin stitches that they've provided for us, and like I said, we'll go into all of this in detail later on. We can also apply fill stitching. We can apply fancy fill stitching. We can apply motif fills, which will fill him with a motif pattern. It's easier to see when it's a little bit bigger. Okay. We can apply gradient fills, color blend fills. Those are easier to see when it's not selected. So this will just apply 2 colors and then blend them together. And you can get really nice effects that way. We can do a wave fill, so it creates it in kind of like a nice wave pattern. We can do a wave gradient fill. Sometimes that really distorts our shapes. And then that's the color blend. We can turn him into an applique. We can change our applique from a satin to a blanket to a motif. So you see when I stitch it out, it has my placement line, my tack down line, and the applique stitch. I can also add stippling to him, so it will fill in with stippling, and that's really cool if you have if you use the shapes tools. So if we create a square and we have say a quilt block and we know the areas that we want to fill with stippling, we can fill that with stippling. We can also grab say another shape and we can fill that with a cross stitch and create fun cross stitch, and then we can turn things back into artwork with our artwork tool and apply new stitching. Okay, so those are all of our stitch effect tools, so we can apply stitches really easily to any piece of artwork. That's why it's always nice to have artwork to work with. And like I said, in a later mini lesson, we'll just kind of talk about the difference between vector, bitmap, what artwork is, how you get artwork, and things like that. But those are just all of our toolbars for now. So we talked about our menu toolbar up here, our file toolbar. Right next to it is our design toolbar or a creator toolbar. Our modify toolbar, which is below it, this whole bar here. We have our edit toolbar, which allows us to pick, drag, drop, edit shapes. We have our view toolbar, which is how we view things on our screen. This is our color palette, how we can change colors really easily by just selecting either in our canvas, or we can select in our sequence view, easily change colors. And then this is our stitch effects toolbar, how we change stitching or how we apply stitching to a design. And then we can go in and apply new stitching. So that's our lesson for today. I just wanted to briefly go over icons, kind of give you a brief description of what they do. And like I said, in later lessons, we'll go more in depth into each icon, really get to using them and how they work and all that fun stuff. So if you guys have any questions, email me at lisa@blakemansovac.com. That's LISA@BLAKEMANSEWVAC.com. In your subject line, write digitizing help, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. I look forward to our next live session. It's going to be after our events. So we'll have all of our group there so we can really start getting into our digitizing software live. You can ask me questions live, type me messages. Yeah, I look forward to lesson 3 with you all. We will also be doing lesson 1 and lesson 2 live as well. I just kind of want to get people started that are ready to get started. So, yep, like I said, email me with any questions, and I will talk to you all later. Bye.